There are many factors that go into creating a great game, but one thing that is often overlooked by new developers is the environment. The ability to create an immersive environment that feels alive can really make or break a game. Now, there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to making a world feel believable, but today we're going to focus on trees and foliage. If you saw this previous video of mine, you'll understand how impactful and cohesive greenery can be in bringing a scene together. In the real world, trees have multiple functions. They provide us with oxygen through photosynthesis, they provide shade, they can obscure vision and define boundaries, and of course, they can be used for decoration. Obviously, one of those is not so important for our game, but the other three can come in handy if used correctly. Something I personally love outside of game dev is the art of bonsai, although shaping bonsai takes years of patience. Thankfully, while I wait for my real bonsai to grow, I can create beautiful stylized trees in my game instead. That being said, pulling this off convincingly can be tricky. Trees, like all organic things, have a natural, imperfect quality to them that is hard to replicate on a computer. Something that helped me to get past this was a Blender add-on called mtree. mtree allows us to generate procedural trees in Blender using the node editor. We can piece together trunk and branch nodes to create really convincing organic structures to use in game. Before we dive headfirst into making the trees, we need to first consider the correct anatomy. At a glance, almost all trees follow the same structure. You've got the trunk, the thickest part of the tree that provides vertical support. Branches grow outwards, typically tapering with thicker branches near the bottom and thinner near the top. Then there's the visible roots, or nibari, that flare out and anchor the tree. And finally, the canopy, the leaves that form distinct tree shapes depending on species. Even in stylized trees where details are simplified, these principles still apply. One thing to always keep in mind is the flow of the tree, as branches often grow in patterns, spiraling and alternating in a way to balance weight and light. Armed with all that knowledge, it's time to jump into Blender. Firstly, we need to create a tree mesher node and attach a trunk node to it. Then we can click generate to get the start of our tree. As mtree creates trees procedurally, we can start to tweak the node settings to get the general shape of the trunk looking how we like. I'll start by thickening the start radius and adjusting the upper traction. How you set these values will change depending on the type of tree you're trying to replicate. Trees with strong apical dominance, such as pines, typically grow with straight trunks to rapidly reach sunlight in open or competitive environments. Trees with weaker apical dominance, like maples, are more shade tolerant and can afford to develop a broader, more spread out growth pattern. Adding a branch node, we can start to see our tree take shape. Going for a stylized look, we don't need all these high detail branches. Instead, we should focus on the big shapes that dictate the flow of the tree. Turning the split prober to 0 will remove these unwanted branches. Next, we'll reduce the length of the branches and adjust their density as well as their start and end position. We can again adjust the upper traction and start angle to give the branches either a strong or droopy feel. Though, like with most things, there is a Goldilocks zone between the two where the shape is just right. If you want more of a tapered look, you can attach another branch node and split the start and end regions where they spawn to be able to control each zone separately. Now, there is no node for roots, but we can do some trickery with a branch node to get them instead. Adding another branch node, we're going to set the spawn range between 0.0 and 0.05 while jacking up the branch intensity. Now we want to make the start angle tilting slightly downwards and adjust the upper traction to keep the roots going outwards. This should give you that lovely looking nibari that you see in mature trees. In its current state, the tree is looking nice, but the try count is null. We can apply a decimate modifier to get it down to a more reasonable number. The only thing left now are the leaves. In Godot, we're going to be using a multi-mesh instance to spawn quads with leaf textures on them. To do this, we need to give the engine a place to spawn these leaves. You can use any shape you like, but I like using these low poly icospheres. I stretch them out and flatten them to get the first layer. For the next layer, I'll take the same shape but cut it in half, scaling it down a bit and moving it into place. I then stack these shapes, scaling down each layer until I have a fully tapered shape. Duplicating these, I create the shape of the canopy. Next, I need to join the leaf spawning meshes into a single mesh so that the leaves can spawn evenly across them. After importing into Godot, I instantiate the mesh as a new scene and apply a toon shader to the trunk. Using a multi-mesh instance 3D node, we can spawn quads on the surface of the leaf spawning mesh. Next, we'll start on the shader to actually turn these into leaves. I started out with the toon shader that I used in a previous video as a base, removing any of the code for effects that I know I'm not going to use. Firstly, let's get a leaf texture ready. I did this by finding some leaves on Google Images, removing the background, and turning all the remaining parts white using Krita. We can import this into Godot, plug it into the albedo texture. Setting an alpha scissor threshold, we can get the outer edges of the quad to disappear, leaving only the leaf shape, and set the albedo to a nice green. At this point, you may want to adjust the size of the leaves, which you can do through your multi-mesh instance. Having quads that are too big will look bad as they'll clip through each other when moving the camera. On the other hand, making the leaves too small will mean you need to spawn more instances to cover the blank spots, and your spawning shape will be more obvious. So you'll have to find the right balance. As a basic tree, this is looking nice, but there's a good few things we can do to add some juice. Just like with our grass, we can rotate each leaf slowly back and forwards in the vertex shader to add some motion. Depending on your leaf shader, you may have to offset the rotation point to give the movement a more natural swaying feel. Annoyingly, this rotation can have an undesirable effect on the shadows, as having moving leaves cast shadows may result in deeper leaves flickering between light thresholds in our toon shader. The way I got around this was by unhiding the spawning mesh from earlier and setting it to shadow only while disabling shadows for the multi-mesh. We can increase heterogeneity and visual interest by adding new textures like different leaves, flowers or pine cones, plugging them into the same shader so that they're also animated nicely. Next, we can add a touch of depth by utilizing a particle system. Like before, we can spawn quads as our leaves, now having them affected by gravity. Then, we want to rotate them as they fall. But this doesn't look quite right yet. After a bit of digging around, I found this Reddit post that details a clever way to make natural feeling falling leaves. All that we were missing was offsetting the center of rotation as the leaf falls. Now it looks like it has some natural turbulence to it. For a stylized tree, this is a great start. Though there is something to be said about more unique looking trees and their ability to blend into a forest. If you're creating trees that you intend to build into a forest, I would recommend that you stick to more simple shapes, as these can create a stronger and more cohesive forest in large quantities. The same cannot be said for more interesting trees, as their unique shape steals attention away from the bigger picture. These trees should be used sparingly and where possible for environmental storytelling. The method we use to spawn the leaves is quite versatile and can be used for other types of foliage, for example, the vines on this wall. All we need is a mesh where the leaves will spawn and the rest is easy. Once you get the hang of it, the subtle detail that foliage can bring to a scene is incredibly powerful. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to see more, let me know in the comments. And if you've made your own stylized trees, I'd love to see them. Come share your work in the Discord.